Hi everyone, this is Vera. Thank you for clicking on this, my first YouTube video. This will be a walkthrough of the Black Cat Lenormand, this here. This deck is by Alexander Misruk and it is available on Etsy, so if you're interested you can take a look at the link in the description box below. I just really wanted to make this video because when I buy decks, I really rely a lot on YouTube walkthroughs so that I can see everything and decide if it's something that really resonates with me. This deck, I couldn't find one, so I thought, probably time to give it a try, give back. So I am super nervous. I'm super open to your comments if there's something I could have done better, so please feel free. But let's get started and see how it goes. So let's take a look at the deck. Here we have the plain box. You have the option of plain box, a plastic box, and a tin, I believe. You also get a little white book PDF emailed to you by the deck author. Let's open it up here. Okay, here we are. Everything, as you can see, I think that is the shiny type of cardstock. It's very glossy. Another thing we can see is that the border is slightly offset. As you can see, it's a little bit narrower on the side. This is just something that happens sometimes with the printing. They are all the same, so it doesn't bother me too much, but some people it would bother, so it's just good to know. They have really nice backs, in my opinion. I really like this design. You can see it there. Okay, back to the front. Let's just pick one to look at here. All right. Here's our stork. So as you can see, there are card inserts. There's actually two. There's also this insert with the little black cat, and it includes a zodiac sign for each of the cards. And we have also the name and the number there. All of the cards have this sort of vintage illustration style of picture, which I really liked. And I'll go through them one by one so you can get a better idea of that. So this is our rider. It is a female rider. If you like to use the rider as the second man card, this one is a woman, so there's that. There are extra man and woman cards in this deck. The other thing I'll note about her is that she seems to be doing some sort of, if not show jumping, but, just jumping over something versus just riding for transportation. And some people do like to see the rider as a straight up messenger, so this is a little bit different, but it's also fairly subtle down there, so maybe I'll have to work with it anyway. Here's our clover. I really like this one because I like the little horseshoe. I like the mushrooms too. I'm not sure if they have anything to do with luck or chance, but I like mushrooms, so. Here's our ship. I do like ocean liners for ships. For me personally, it just seems to capture the essence of the ship card more than a sailing ship. Here's our house. Tree. The clouds, and they do have a lighter side and a darker side if you work with that. It's not super intense, but it's definitely there. It's our snake. Two snakes, actually. A coffin. It is not a coffin, it's sarcophagi, but that's pretty close. Some decks kind of leave out the coffin or make it kind of real subtle, which isn't my favorite thing. Sarcophagi are pretty close, so that works for me. It's the bouquet. I do like this one a lot because it's, in addition to just being pretty flowers, it's very prettily arranged, and I think that sort of fits with the bouquet idea. Here's our scythe pointing off this way. It's our whip, which also includes the broom. I like to have both for no particular reason. I will note that it seems to be missing its little zodiac sign, and I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know the source of the zodiac correspondences in this deck. I do have another astrological Lenormand, which has different correspondences, so I assume the ones in this deck belong to the designer. This one does not have one. I did check the rest of the cards to see if they were 3 of each, and maybe I could figure it out, but they're not actually evenly distributed, so maybe this one just isn't intended to have a sign. I'm not really sure. Our birds. It's our child, very cute. Fox. I like this fox. I like his face. Let me see if I can get him a little closer to you. Can you see him? Here we go. I just like that. I don't know why. It's our bear, which has the baby bear, which is nice if you have that maternal idea for the bear. Stars. It's our stork again with the little baby, which I think is kind of funny, but, you know, can work with it. The dog. I do like this because I like to see different kinds of dogs, so a bulldog is pretty cool. I like him. It's our tower, which I like this tower as well. It does look, you know, fairly lonely and isolated, but also like it is quite a big official building, so that covers a few ideas of the tower. Here is our garden. There are no people in the garden. If you like to see people, they are not here, but it's clearly a man-made garden for people to use. This is our mountain. And the paths. There are 2 paths here. It took me a little while to figure it out because there's so much tree happening, but it does appear to be one going off this way and one going off that way. Our mice. A heart. It's our ring, which is a really interesting, cool ring, actually. In the book, this is actually probably my least favorite card, just because it's a little hard to tell what it is. And I know it's a book, and there aren't that many choices in pictures, so I can figure it out, but it just doesn't look very book-like in this picture. This is the letter. I'm also not a huge fan of this one, if only because of the Valentine. I kind of see the letter as a lot more neutral, so the Valentine, you know, I can work with it, but it's not my favorite. Here's our man, and we'll take a look at the woman there. They sort of face each other, I guess, and they're nice pictures. The extras, I think the extra man does not face, so if that's important to you, we'll take a look at all of them together in a little bit. Lilies. It's our sun. Moon. Our key. Little fishes. And the anchor. I find this anchor kind of interesting because it seems to be a very active anchor. A lot of times you'll see it just sitting there on the beach, but this one seems to be in the process of being thrown, which is different. And the cross. So those are all the basic cards. And we do have now these optional cards. So these are the owls. Some decks use owls instead of birds, so you have the choice here. Here is a little girl child, very cute. And then a little boy child, if you prefer them, with this little hat. Here's a cat card for the dog, which I like, but because if you're a cat person, although I am a cat person, and I think the dog has a particular meaning, so I'll probably stick with him in the deck, but I may stick this here somewhere. He's a very nice kitty. Here's, like I said, the other man and the other woman card. So we'll pop these out for a second. Let's see if we can find their friends in here. So yeah, you can have these 2 facing, and you can have these 2 facing, but you can't really have this one face any. So if you do use that directionality, that's just something to know. Your options are a little bit limited. Okay, so Black Cat Lenormand. Let's spread out some cards and see what they look like all together. I'm just going to put the extra cards to the side here since we won't be using those. Let's try to give them a shuffle. So like I said, it is the shiny cardstock, but it seems fairly solid, so I'm going to go ahead and riffle these and see how it goes. Oop. Still a little stiff. Shiny. I usually bridge, but I don't think that's going to happen today. These need a little bit more of a workout. shuffle okay. Okay, let's spread a few out and see what we get. I probably cannot fit a whole grand tableau in the shot, so we'll just spread a few out. Okay, so yes, not an entire grand tableau, but you can get a good idea of what they look like. They are fairly busy, but I think they're still pretty easy to read all together like that. It's sort of a preference thing, I really think. And I do really like that all the pictures work together. I think sometimes when you have these decks that are using vintage art, sometimes the selections don't really match and it's not very cohesive, whereas this deck, I do think everything here does feel like it belongs together. So that was Black Cat Lenormand. I hope it was helpful for you. If you guys have any questions about the deck, or if you have it and you want to leave some comments, please do. I have one or two other decks that I haven't seen walkthroughs for, so I may, if this one seems to work, give those a try. So if you're interested in that and you want to subscribe, that would be great, or just keep an eye out. But I just really want to thank you guys for watching this video and for any feedback you have, and really thanks so much for sticking with me. Good night.